The rivers of the Punjab that fed a civilization, the history and legacy of irrigation in the Punjab. To walk through the golden fields of the Punjab at harvest time is to stand beneath the silent legacy of water, of rivers diverted, canals carved, and lives reshaped by human will. This land, known as the Five Waters, where the Sutlej, Beas, Ravi, Chenab, and Jhelum converge in a braided dance before joining the Indus, was never destined by nature alone to be the granary of South Asia. Its abundance was forged, not by rain alone, but by the patient, relentless labor of hands, minds, and institutions that learned, over centuries, to bend the flow of rivers to the rhythm of human need. Long before the British laid their first surveyor's stake, before the roar of construction crews echoed across the plains, the people of this region understood water as both gift and God. In the shadow of the Indus Valley's ancient cities, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, civilizations thrived not merely on seasonal floods, but on careful stewardship. Wells sunk deep into alluvial soil, drainage channels woven through streets like veins, reservoirs lined with baked brick, these were not primitive measures, but the hallmarks of an early hydraulic consciousness. Here, water was not taken, it was honored, managed, and shared. As empires rose and fell, so too did the art of irrigation evolve. Under the Mughals, the earth was gently coaxed into obedience. Firoz Shah Tughlaq's Nahar-i-Behisht, the stream of paradise, snaked for miles from the Yamuna, turning barren tracts into orchards and wheatlands. Akbar's administrators mapped the land not just for taxation, but for cultivation. Shah Jahan's engineers built aqueducts that carried life across dusty ridges. Canals became arteries of empire, feeding not only grain, but stability. Villages clustered along their banks, markets bloomed where water flowed. The Punjabi farmer, though bound to the seasons, was no longer a slave to them. Yet it was under the iron gaze of colonial ambition that the Punjab's waters were truly transformed, from scattered streams of local ingenuity into a grand, centralized machine. The British, seeking to turn a frontier into a fiscal asset, saw in the Punjab's rivers an opportunity to feed their armies, fill their treasuries, and secure their empire. They did not merely improve irrigation, they invented a new kind of agriculture, one governed by bureaucracy, measured in acres, and delivered by canal. The canal colonies, as they came to be called, were the most ambitious hydroengineering project of the 19th century. Where once there had been scrubland and thorn forest, now stretched endless fields of wheat and cotton, irrigated by canals wider than some European rivers. The Lower Bari Doab Canal, completed in 1859, drew water from the Sutlej and poured it into the heart of central Punjab. The Chenab Canal, stretching over 300 kilometers, became a ribbon of life threading through the arid south. By the dawn of the 20th century, nearly 12 million acres, the largest contiguous irrigated area on Earth, bloomed under this engineered web. What made these canals extraordinary was not merely their scale, but their design. Gravity ruled here. No pumps, no electricity, just carefully graded channels, lined with compacted earth, descending ever so slightly from headworks to field. Distributaries branched like roots, miners fed the last furrows. Each plot, each farmer, received a measured share. Land was parceled, rights assigned, disputes settled by officers in pith helmets. New towns sprang up overnight, Lyalpur, Montgomery, Shaikapura, each a monument to water's power. The desert bloomed. The poor found plots. The landless became landowners. But this transformation came at a cost. Indigenous communities, long accustomed to shifting pastures and communal water use, were displaced. Forests vanished beneath plows. And while the system promised equity, in practice, it entrenched hierarchy. Those with capital, connections, and caste gained the best land and the first water. The canal was a tool of order, but also of control. When the British departed in 1947, and the Punjab was cleaved between India and Pakistan, the rivers were divided too. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960, brokered by the World Bank, allocated the eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej, to India, and the western ones, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, to Pakistan. It was a diplomatic triumph, but also a rupture. Pakistan, deprived of its eastern lifelines, responded with the Indus Basin replacement works, massive dams like Tarbela and Mangla, concrete giants rising from mountain gorges, storing snowmelt to sustain the canals through dry months. In India, Punjab embraced the green revolution, chemical fertilizers, high-yielding seeds, and above all, the tube well. 1 million wells drilled into the aquifer, powered by subsidized electricity, turned the state into India's breadbasket. For decades, it worked. Wheat yields soared. Rice paddies multiplied. The world came to depend on Punjab's harvests. But beneath the surface, the water table sank. What was once a generous, replenished reserve becoming a dwindling vault. In many districts, farmers now drill deeper than 1,000 feet, chasing water that no longer returns. Soil salinity creeps like a slow poison. Fields once fertile now crack under the weight of overuse. And yet, the system endures, not because it is perfect, but because it is essential. Today, the canals still flow. Concrete linings replace crumbling earth. Solar-powered pumps hum beside ancient distributaries. Satellite sensors monitor moisture levels. Farmers are taught alternate wetting and drying techniques to save water in rice fields. There is talk of drip irrigation, of precision farming, of policy reforms that would make wheat less dominant and millet more common. Globally, few systems mirror the Punjab's blend of antiquity and innovation. Egypt's Nile canals echo its reliance on riverine certainty. California's Central Valley bears its imprint of federal engineering and groundwater crisis. China's South-North Water Transfer Project mirrors its ambition. Australia's Murray-Darling Basin shares its struggle with ecological balance. But nowhere else has such a vast network evolved from ancient river worship to colonial domination to post-colonial survival, with such intensity, such consequence. The Punjab's irrigation system is more than infrastructure. It is a story written in water, of conquest and resilience, of exploitation and adaptation, of human hubris and quiet ingenuity. It is the reason millions eat. It is the reason civilizations grew. It is the reason a region once considered marginal became the jewel of the subcontinent. Now, as the Himalayan glaciers retreat and monsoons grow erratic, the question is no longer whether the canals will continue to flow, but whether we, the inheritors of this engineered paradise, have the wisdom to let them flow sustainably. The rivers remember. The land remembers. And if we listen closely, the old canals whisper a warning and a plea. Do not take more than you give back. For water, after all, is not a resource to be conquered. It is the very breath of life.